Hello everyone! So I'm Danielle from CagelessReadings, so welcome to the channel or welcome back. I just have to say there is a lot of chaos going on just the start of this pick a card reading. It was so quiet in the place that I'm living, and then all of a sudden all the neighbors, because it's like townhouse setup, started like running around, and I just hear like yelling and screaming, and I think they're playing, but I'm not sure. It sounds like kids actually. So I think they're probably just playing, and then all of a sudden it started getting really loud with like vacuum sounds, and then the battery I checked about 2 or 3 times because I had a suspicion it would die, and then naturally as soon as I got everything set up, the battery died, so I have to like take it down to put the battery in. And I was just thinking like, damn, this is a message. Some serious chaos going on in your guys' life right now. So this pick a card, the question we're asking is, what do you need to know about your family life right now? Or what do you need to hear about your family life right now? And the intention is just help get you grounded again, get some worries or anxieties figured out, or just at least get some guidance or confirmations around them. And I have a feeling that some of this is going to be around kids, like your own kids, or parents. So yeah, we'll just see what comes up. So we have for pile 1 this piece of bloodstone. It's a bloodstone wand. And then for all the decks, we're using the Medicine Woman Oracle, and underneath we have the Healing Mantra deck. So just if you're wondering. And then pile 2 is this piece of Angel Aura Pink Quartz, I think is what it's called. Sorry, I know there's a bunch of words for this one. Or just Rose Quartz Aura or something like that, yeah, but it's actually has that like rainbow shimmer on it, and it is a rose quartz otherwise. And it's much pinker than this lighting is making it look. And then pile 3 is this Moonstone wand. Okay, so there is going to be a healing, a sound bowl and Reiki healing at the end of this. I did pre-record it from last week, but I was just feeling so good after this retreat that I went to for 2 days that I wanted to take advantage of the good vibes. So that will be at the end of this whole pick a card reading if you'd like to receive it. There is a lot of crystals in there, and there's a lot of plants, so the energy is kind of intense. So I'll just leave it up to you if you want to receive that. Otherwise, I will see you all in your pick a card readings. Hello, pile 1. So you all chose this piece of bloodstone. And I'll just put it right there. Okay, so let's see what advice or what messages the guides have for you that you need to hear right now about your family and your family system. So we have Bison Totem. We have Speaking Out. We have Emotions. Interconnection. And we have Autumn, time for letting go, lightening your load. Sorry, I thought I said lightening your lord for a second. And then we have some advice cards, and they say, I allow myself to be content exactly as I am, and there is nothing to regret when I learn from my past. And they're both pink. actually almost want this by me. I also just right away am noticing threes. So this one says 13. I see the 3 there. This one says 32. That one is 7. This one is a 1, but this one is 21, which makes me think of 3. So I'm like, I guess honestly there's a lot of 3s and 1s. And even 2s. So like 1, 2, 3. That's kind of interesting. Makes me think of taking first steps or taking a step towards something. Okay, so I'm trying really hard not to be biased here because looking at these cards, I feel like they could be very specifically for someone I know, this whole card reading. But I do set the intention that this is a general card reading, so I'm going to try not to go super specific into that person's messages or lifestyle. So the overall general energy that I'm picking up on is when I see this mermaid and then I see this person, it just makes me think of a frog or someone who's playing a puppet. And then really they're just like a mermaid. Like they're just a free soul. They're so different. They see the world differently. I mean, she's literally holding an eye. And then when I see this, so this is making me wonder if some of you are struggling right now with family relations where you've outgrown your old self or your past self. And I even see like a little butterfly here, like changing and transforming. And then over here, I feel like this is a totally different energy. This is like a person who's stepping into their own way of life, stepping into their true soul being, like finding their soul spark, finding their joy. And I love that there's like a crystal in one hand, and then I think it's rosemary. Let me see here. Oh no, it's an olive branch. It's an olive branch in this hand. So it's so interesting. I feel like that in itself, like extending an olive branch means its whole other thing there, right? Like it's always like giving people a chance, giving them an opportunity to either prove you wrong or prove you right. Being more open-minded is what I'm thinking here. So interconnection. I bring you the medicine of togetherness. And then I can't stop looking at the star behind this. Yeah, like I know for some of you it might be confirmation because some of you resonate with witch energy, and this is just like a confirmation of this is your true self. Kind of a blend, actually, I think, of trying to think someone who truly believes that all crystals have souls and working with them. And then I also feel like someone who there's something about DNA and changing your like genetics or your body. I want to say algorithms, but I don't really know if that makes sense. And then I do love like the shamanic essence here, like just being a beautiful combination of so many different things. The olive branch, yeah. In this autumn, a time for letting go, lightening your load. It's so interesting. I feel like these cards almost are hard to read together because this one's almost like the version of you in the 3D world, and this one is like a hybrid. This is you at your true essence, and I think maybe you have like a space now, or you have a practice or an outlet where you can like be your full self. And this isn't going to be in your family group, I don't believe, or the family group you're referring to. Like I almost feel like this is a separate practice for right now. But then when I see the olive branch, I almost feel like it's asking you to, what's the words they're saying? It's kind of like if your family, so it could, I think it's more parental. Like I think it's more like your parents, your siblings, and I think this pile is probably a little bit older, just meaning like I don't think anyone who would have chose this pile would be under the age of about 25. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be a higher age group than that, like maybe more in the 30s. But yeah, like I feel like for this pile, you kind of lived like sort of the typical life you're supposed to on the outside, but on the inside, you're still like exploring some other things, or you're wanting to explore other things. And here is like saying it's important to extend this opportunity and know that as much of you have grown over the years, these other people in your life, so these family members, have also grown. And although I don't think they're quite ready for this full version of yourself, I don't think they're going to be as blocked off or closed off to it as they were when you were younger, or even a few years ago. So I almost feel like the guidance or the suggestion here is that don't accidentally find yourself putting people in a box, and it just mean in how they'll accept you and treat you. But also know that you're right, they're probably not going to be able to handle this beautiful, witchy, crystal talking, shamanic healer either. But I just see like this relationship, if it's with parents or siblings, I think in the long run, it will just keep shifting, and it will get to a point where you can both accept each other for your ways, but they probably won't be what you are. They'll just accept you for who you are, and it won't be so frictionful or like stressful or uncomfortable or just feel kind of gross in that relationship. I think we'll be more supportive. So when I see this, I think this is almost talking about how in your human life, so you have your group, I even think like maybe you even do, I want to say like a yoga practice, but that's not quite right. Maybe you do retreats, or you do evening things where you can just be 100% you have your group for that, and then it's almost saying this will help ground you in the 3D world, so that you'll still have, like, you at your essence will still be beautiful and super spiritually connected, but you're going to be present and grounded in the 3D reality, because it's almost like they're trying to say to be this all the time doesn't really make you super great at living in the physical reality. It almost makes it really hard to function. So there's like this beautiful balance that they're talking about that either it has come in or is going to come in. And I think this feels more like a confirmation. Like, I think you guys already know this. But I see that like even you trying to be a normal 3D person, you're just not, like, you stand out anyways, and it's not in a bad way. It's like your beauty does still radiate, and it's like people know there's something like brighter about you. They almost say like more joyous about you, and it's because you found a place to 100% be your beautiful self. And then the other thing I want to talk about here is I just noticed there's like a wolf and an eagle and a fish and a dragonfly. And it keeps making me think of the medicine wheel in shamanic practices. So I almost wonder if you are considering taking a shamanic course or shamanic practice, or if you have done a medicine wheel course, or if you have just intuitively figured out your own medicine wheel. There seems to be a confirmation there. I'm just going to mention that because I'm not getting a specific pull towards a message, just that there's just like a little thing that needs to be mentioned here about that for someone, about the shamanic medicine wheel. It feels very north, south, west, east kind of related about which animal might be your like protector of that direction or something like that. I don't know. They just said that dragonfly is a representation of your family system. So you might want to Google the meaning of the dragonfly totem. And that might just give you some additional messages if you're seeking more and this resonates with you after this card reading. And then I kind of want to move over to this because I do feel like these are a little bit different. Bison. So interesting. So for me personally, because my boyfriend's family are bison farmers, this just so symbolizes family, family relations. But I know traditionally, bison is a representation of abundance in all things. Abundance in finances, abundance in community and joyful connections. It's like life is going really well for you right now. And I mean, it makes sense with the traditional, if you're not from North America, then you might not know that like the bison was what the Aboriginal people here ate, and it fed them and it fed their communities over the winter. So it was really like quite a symbolic of a beautiful thing and a wonderful abundance of it before white men came and killed them all for fun. So I don't really want to get too much into that story, but it's just like, it's so symbolic of good things coming. And I like that it came out next to these cards where it shows me your beautiful mermaid vibes. And it's, I don't know, this eye is so important. It's what you've been seeing lately. You're seeing a lot of things, very active third eye chakra, but it's also talking though about how you're really seeing where you came from. It's talking so much about your family system. So I wonder if recently you've had like this mind-blowing shift about understanding, I almost want to say both sides. Like, I think you've been doing a lot of inner child work, a lot of inner child caring and nurturing. I just want to say like healing and holding space. And I see that you can like see your parents and maybe your siblings and why they were the way they were in that time. And you're not disempowering or disregarding your experience. I think you're at a point right now where you're really able to see what their experience was and their perception was, and what your experience was and your perception was, and why you were wounded, and why they either were wounded as well or didn't even see what was happening because they were all so in their own stuff. So I just really see this as like, there's just so much wisdom that you have realized and so much deep work that you have really put the time into, and you're really, it says like you're healing it. So if you're like, if you feel like it's never ending and there's always another layer, it's saying like you are healing it, and just keep doing what you're doing and trust it. And yeah, like they're saying you're doing it in a good way. You're honoring both sides of the story, but you're not discrediting yours. And sometimes people have a habit of like undermining their own experience. So you're doing a good job there. And then, yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about this, this puppet vibe, this frog. I just see it as saying, yeah, I think you've been, some people might say you've been wearing a mask, but I just see it more as like, you've kind of kept this beautiful, true, like just powerful and lovely, like this version of you is so kind-hearted, so giving, so beautiful. And I think your family hasn't really seen that. And part of it is because they aren't in a place where they can see it. But I think this is changing, and that's why it's coming out. Like it says, speaking out, your voice is released, express yourself frankly. And I do feel like there was like just a lot of hardships for this pile in their childhood. Like it feels like there really was a lot to overcome. And I think, from what I can see, I think if you did have siblings, that they were more of the, I don't know, I think now they're more like your parents. But I think when you were young, they were like you, and they just didn't know how to cope, and their way through it was to kind of repeat what your parents were doing. And I think you kind of stuck to your guns, and you've done a lot of things and you're in a very different place. Some of you only have one sibling, and I feel like they're following like the traditional role per se. And I just see like you've really kind of like if you look at this, it just seems like like a case study, like someone studying a dead frog and being like, oh, I see this about this frog, so that's what they are. And it's just so not accurate. Like, I think it's just really saying like your family doesn't see you for the beauty you are. They just see like, I think like you could say like this basic frame, but on the inside there's so much happening. It's like crazy that they can't see that. And it just goes back to you're just being such a spiritual being. Like, you're so connected. Like, look at that. Connected to, like, the higher realms. And then yet I like that you're still grounded on the earth plane. So that's a really big message for this pile, too, is saying, like, it is good to have that balance, to be spiritual. But, yeah, like they keep saying, remember you are here living a 3D life, and that there are just some 3D physical things you need to do. Yeah, I'm trying to see, like, is any of this advice really useful for you. Okay, so yeah, okay, so they're saying like the reason why the bison came through, and also this olive branch, is they're really discussing how, despite how things may seem, even the inner work that you have done has helped heal these relationships and have helped, like, it's like making me think of the Ho'oponopono thing, where like you doing your own work almost heals the other person. And it doesn't do all of it for them. You can only do your part in it. But I just see like it has made things lighter and easier for them in these relationships. So I almost see like there's going to be, they just keep saying such a shift. And they do say like, it is a general card reading. For some people, it's going to be like a 180 for your family systems. And I think it's parents. I think it's more directly toward parents. And it's going to be like easier. And it's like this bison, like there's going to be like such a change, and it's going to be good times and things are going to be easier. And you're going to be able to speak up and have opinions and share things in this family unit. That's really big. You're going to be able to, people are going to hear you now. Like, I feel like you could talk before, and for some reason, it just like went in one ear and out the other without ever like hitting their brain or something. Like it just never, they never got what you were saying. It's almost like you weren't even there, or even saying anything. And then for other ones, I don't think you're going to be like best friends with your families, but it's still saying the same thing. You'll be able to communicate with them and things will be lighter. And then all these other things are saying like the bison is coming through for that kind of energy, that your other communities and systems and even workplace is so wonderful and abundant with accepting people who see you, that you setting boundaries and being firm with your family, it won't be such a big deal if they don't hear you all the time. It won't be so devastating. It won't feel so painful if they can't hear you or see you or value you, because they're saying like all this other stuff is just so great. And you know your value, and you don't need that from your family as much. But yeah, they are talking though about huge shifts there. So something's going on with like this previously sort of hard to communicate with, a lot of like old wounds in this parent-child relationships. So let's look at these advice cards again. I might clarify a few things. So we have unhooking the past and discovering happiness. Whoa, they're so similar in the symbols too. Like all the other symbols are so different from this deck, so it's kind of cool. So unhooking the past, and I really think this is what this file has done, like this mermaid, and like accepting herself and seeing things and healing what she's seen. I feel like is a great confirmation for this card. It says, there is nothing to regret when I learned from my past. And I feel like that can be so simple when people say that, but it's almost like I think you have really come to a place where you're starting to, if you haven't already, felt that click in, I wouldn't want to be anyone else than myself. And I love myself, and I love who I am, and I love the things I can do, and other people's lives are so boring, and I'm glad I have my life. And it wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have this experience in my childhood with my parents. Like, they never would have forced me down this path. I wouldn't understand people in the same experiences. Like, I think you're getting there. I kind of think a lot of people here are already just past that step, or it's, transitioning into that. And it's like this bittersweet thing, right? Where you're so proud of yourself in some ways to have endured it all and seen the beauty in it, but there's still like that space you're holding for the grief and the toughness and the sadness that you did have to go through it. So it's like this beautiful, harmonious balance. So the second card that said discovering happiness. And then here says, I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. That's beautiful. I think it's almost saying like, you don't need to change anything about you. You're already perfect. You're already wonderful just as you are. I think I actually want to, I think in this book, they have very short things. I think I'm going to just read this one here, discovering happiness, to end this, because I kind of think I'm really getting to the end of everything I had to say. So it says, I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. When happiness is discovered, you are inspired, excited, and passionate about the gift of being alive. There is a willingness to open your heart to the mystery of each moment, whether you're getting what you want or witnessing unexpected outcomes. The discovery of happiness frees you from needing life to bring you more of this or less of that. The true story of being yourself has drawn. Well, I apparently can't read that last sentence. It says, the true joy of being yourself has dawned. This mantra is ideal for you, facing disappointment, developing self-approval, and feeling fulfilled. I feel like this pile has come through the ringer, basically. You've come through such a hard time, but I can only imagine that you were just the most beautiful souls because of it. I think you probably were beautiful before all this, but the fact that you can go through such hardships and come out still such a loving, bright being says so much about your character and so much about who you are. And the fact that you're doing the work and wanting to be the best version of yourself is just absolutely amazing. And I think you're starting to be able to see that in yourselves. Or believe that is true. And then just as maybe a last thing to say, Bloodstone is known for finding your courage and your passion and your strength in life. So you feel like I was really drawn. I have two of these. One that has red on both sides, which is this one, which is really helping with grounding and clearing out the family systems. And then the other one I have just has a little bit of red and the rest is all blue. So it's actually really neat now that I'm looking about it, that these cards like really well match this stone. And even the tones in it and stuff. So that's really, really neat. Yeah, super cool. And the other, I don't know, I feel like it'd also be important. Like it always talks about purity of blood. And I was saying how I feel like this pile needs to remember that they are pure and good. They're perfect. They're innocent. They're just pure beings. And I think sometimes it's hard for us to really believe and accept. So I think there's so much messages just in this crystal itself. And then they do suggest this for Aries spirits, but I think anyone can really use it. I mean, I'm so drawn to it, but I am an Aries, so maybe that makes sense. Okay, I'm trying to just wait and see if anything else is coming through, but I think that's all they're giving me for you. I just hope that you know that you're doing great, that you've come through so much, and I can just see what a beautiful soul you are. And like, oh, I don't know, I just think like people would call you like a unicorn, like just beautiful and radiant and full of rainbows. But there's also like this shadow within you that you have accepted and not ran away from, and that brings in like that spiritual power and like that shamanic side into you. So that's super cool. Okay, well, just a reminder to maybe look up the spiritual message that a dragonfly, a totem animal, would bring if you feel called to it. Yeah, that does seem important for someone. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like there's so much more with this mermaid spirit that I could get into, but I think that might be a specific message for someone. It feels past lifey actually, so super cool. Something's happening there for someone. Okay, all right, I'm actually gonna let you go now. I just wish you the best of luck with your family systems, with your parents and your siblings. I mean, just remember the bison totem and speaking your truth and speaking up. I just see things are going to change and people in your family system are going to start to be able to hear you, to your surprise, I think. But it's like they were saying, like all the work you have done has made it easier on your family. Like they've energetically felt that shift and that like I think they even needed to be forgiven by you on some level. I think they might have had some shame, and like your work and forgiving them for yourself and for you to basically have a more fulfilling life for yourself, I think really was so healing for them on a soul level. And I don't think you'll ever hear that from them. But I definitely think that's going to be what made the huge shift for them. Because they still have to forgive themselves. But I think you forgiving them, yeah, I can just feel that really, like, yeah, change their whole energy. Okay, I'm actually going to let this pile go now. I'm wishing you the best. Feel free to take the Reiki sound bowl healing at the end if you're called to it. I feel like the vibe was really, really strong in there. So maybe that will help with the situation that you're dealing with. Also, side note, I just turned this off and it's 3:33 p.m. That's really cool. So I had to start it again just to say that. Hello, Pile 2. So you all chose the Aura Rose Quartz. Put that right there. Actually, I will put it up here on the cluster. There we go. Let's see what's going on in your family system. All right, we have number 1, intuition, and it has a cute, cute cat on it. And then we have summer and vision, spring, sisterhood, personal power. I think you got some extra cards from the last pile. Okay, and then we have 2 advice cards. Grounding my energy and illuminating the truth. Okay, you got a triangle and a circle. Interesting. Someone was just recently talking to me about mind body, and like, I guess this isn't a square. I don't know if you can see that. It's a square of dots and then a triangle. Let's see if we can get that closer. Yeah, square, triangle, circle, and someone was telling me that means mind, body, soul, I think. Mind, body, soul, that's 3, right? So I don't know, I was just thinking about that. Illuminating the truth and grounding my energy. Super cool. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Can't help but notice you have a summer and a spring. Okay, hello Pile 2. So I ended up taking a few days break from finishing the rest of this pick a card. I had a wedding to go to and I had a couple of clients and I just didn't get back to it until now. But I feel like that might have been right for this pile because when I was first starting to read the energy, I was feeling a little bit blocked, which might just mean I wasn't in a place where I would hear the message right or something like that. And now that I've left and come back to this card reading, it's really interesting to me because I feel like I know the intention is this is supposed to be centered around family, but I almost feel like this reading, or at least this pile specifically, is talking about your own journey separate from your family. And it's not even that, it's like it's not even mentioning your family. I think that's what's kind of interesting. It might be why I was feeling a little confused about it when I was last trying to read it. So yeah, I keep just trying to see, and I'm like, I just don't really think anything's talking about family specifically here. It's really talking about your own self-development and growing in your own intuitive wisdom, in your own understanding of your spiritual gifts, your talents, your skills, personal powers. So interesting. a lot of these cards really make me think about a retreat I was recently at. 23, it's interesting because that number kept popping up during the whole retreat for me. And the sisterhood card and the personal power card are actually the two cards that I pulled for that retreat again and again. So I would pull them for what is the energy of that retreat, and then I would pull them again for what I need to know about that day for the group. And it just kept coming up with sisterhood and personal power. So it's really interesting that these feel so correlated with the retreat I was just at. And it was all about basically you going as deep as you want to go, finding your own blocks in life, blocks within yourself, a lot of it having to do with inner child work or limiting belief work. And I mean, there's so much red in here, so much red, which is always telling me you're working on your foundations, or this card reading is telling you that it would like you to focus on your foundations and your limiting beliefs. I can't help but wonder if they snuck this in because maybe you wanted to know a reading about your family and they're like, how can we get you to listen to a card reading about yourself and not about anyone else? And I almost wonder if this is how they've led you here. So I'm just trying to see, why are they mentioning and why do they like pulling such a strong similar energy that I had during the weekend for you here now. And I think it's just calling on you to even take a retreat, and it's a very specific type of retreat. The energy there, so you'd have to maybe feel it out, and maybe you already have one in mind, but you're gonna go somewhere where the facilitator isn't gonna try to tell you what work you need to do. They're not even gonna like overly direct you. They're just holding the space. They're facilitating it. They're offering support and the ability to talk about things and dissect experiences. But it's like you really get to choose what you decide to work on. And it's like, it's so funny. It's like a very free form. And I do think it would be better if the facilitator was a female or someone who's really comfortable and nurturing. That side of them comes out. Because I feel like what you're going to need to do is like trust that you already know what you want to work on, what you don't want to be blocked on anymore. And then having this circle or this group of people who, I mean, if you do go to a retreat, I feel like you're going to be in a group that has a similar block as you or working on similar limiting beliefs as you. And maybe not all of them, but there'll be enough of them there that you'll feel very supported and it'll be easier for you to go within and do this work. So it feels like it would be a very meditational retreat. I mean, the lotus keeps standing out to me, which makes me keep thinking of so much gentle, nurturing energy. It will be it would be like someone who has been a practitioner for a really long time. So that in their essence itself, like there would be a lot of wisdom just on an energetic level. And that would be really good for the group. And I even see this as, I don't know, I feel like this pile might have been wanting some more supportive people in their life. Like just other people who understand the same challenges they've had or some struggles that they're dealing with. And I mean, I'm looking over here and there's so much, like, I just keep seeing the eyes everywhere, a couple of eyes, the big eye that the cat's on. I mean, cats are all about kind of magic. And this one even says intuition. And then this here is you're grounding my energy and eliminating my truth. Like, I almost feel like we could do two little separate topics here in this card reading for you all. Like, grounding my energy. Like, this just sounds like you need this group, this supportive group, for you to be present and go deep within and just be and see what's blocking you there, what needs to get released. And I can just see like the way you come out of it. So it's like, I love seeing this card because it makes me think of like your goddessy, witchy, beautiful self. And it's funny because I know some people have like some blocks around witchiness, but I honestly think that like a more traditional witchy person was literally just someone who understood the natural cycles of life, someone who knew how to work with the earth and could communicate with it sort of intuitively. So I see this and I just see almost like coming back to like your shamanic wisdom, I almost want to say pagan knowledge, but I think the problem is with some of those words, there's can be a lot of triggers there, but there isn't that, like I feel like the church really put it in as sacrificial stuff and this and that. And it's funny because like the church did a lot of sacrifices. So I don't know why. They always like turn the tables and put it on other people, but on other religions. But anyways, that's not the point of this reading. So I just see like, and I even like how this makes me think of a lotus. It's almost like you wake up the lotus within you. And it does feel so retreat based. I mean, I could just be being biased because I came from one, but the energy this is talking about, this feels like deep, concentrated work. So it's not just going to be like, you have a great like friend circle and now you're able to start doing deeper work. I think this is talking about literally going and creating a specific weekend or specific 3 days where you're going to be doing this work with someone. Like I keep saying, like there's not going to be a heavy framework, and that's going to be to your benefit because like it really is going to self-empower the group, empower you, and I don't know, it just feels so good. And I like the spring card. So I see this, and I don't think it necessarily means that you're going to be doing this in the spring. I like to see spring more as like the energy of times of change and growth. So I think that's more so what it's referring to. And actually, if you're watching this as it comes out and we're heading into winter, at least where I am, what a perfect time to like rest, restore, and do a retreat, right? Like things tend to move slower here. There's less going on, at least after Christmas. And so I can see like you could really have time to focus on this. Give yourself time to build up good habits and routines, meditation routines, some maybe inner self work, whatever it is that you've been really wanting to establish, but you haven't really had time to prioritize. This will be a good time to get into that. Before the busy summer season. So if you do get busy in the summer, you still will have like that past habit built of this routine having been done and knowing how you feel about it and that you like it, or hopefully you like it if you're doing it all the time. So I feel really good. I feel like, so much growth and so much like deep shifts. I mean, so much red. Like I have to keep saying that. It just really, really reiterates that you're ready to like release some limiting beliefs, some old stuck stuff from your past, and not be held back or limited by it anymore. And there's such a theme of intuition and really understanding your psychic gifts. So I think you've been asking for this. I think you've been wanting this. And it even says vision. So I definitely just have to like keep saying you guys are so psychic, so clairvoyant. So I think you just need to help get rid of some of these blocks that might have been lingering with you. And it could have come up in a family reading because it could have been from your family being religious or being scared. But you know what? I think it is religious because every time I was looking at the sisterhood card, it keeps saying Jesus in the middle. And I'm like, why is Jesus here? But it could just be healing the wound of maybe the religious upbringing you might have had, and seeing and meeting Jesus in a new light or in a new energy than how he was conveyed to you in your upbringing. Yeah, feels huge though. Feels huge. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Grounding my energy. I really like that. Grounding and being present. Oh, and this is even perfect, I guess, actually for family, because grounding my energy, it's really hard to be literally grounded in your body if you've had like some trauma or some sort of like trust issues or wounding in your family systems, and they're still lingering in you. You still have a lot of those fears. I just noticed those are always people who have a hard time literally being grounded in their own feet, in their own physical body. Like you'll see on the soul essence, sometimes someone will be like slightly too high in their body. So like you'll see their physical body and then you'll see their energetic soul body, and their head will be like a head above where their head should be. Or sometimes actually you'll see like that their soul will be behind their physical body, or slightly to the side or slightly in front. And it's almost like a defense. Like, it's like, you can hit my body first, but then you won't actually have gotten to me yet. So it's not great. I would say you'd find yourself being pretty clumsy. You could get disorientated easily. You could be directionally challenged. So it's okay if you don't, like, I personally don't ever know where north, west, east, south is. I mean, I feel like I should work on that, but I don't get lost on hikes and things like that. I always have like a grounded knowing where I am in space and time in the mountains. I just don't know the word west or east or north of this thing to put to it. I just know where I am. So just, yeah, I want to just clarify that, because if you're like, that's why I don't know. It's like, no, you'll just like, you could go somewhere and you would feel grounded, and you would actually be like, I know 2 blocks this way is my house, or is this place. And that makes sense to me. So I find that like a cool little way to be able to check in on that. You know, the other things, the significance that I've always had with 23, it's a reminder that you are a light worker, or a healer. So I do also really like that that's coming in, and it's on your growth card, like stepping in changes, growing, and it's on 23. So it's just like, I think you're going to be ready and in a space where you can be more of service to others once you've come and set time aside for yourself, so you can be more grounded, more clear, and just free of some of this, I don't want to quite say trauma, but limiting beliefs is more the word they're saying. It's old limiting beliefs. I think you probably have done some trauma work, but some of the limiting beliefs are still floating around. I mean, there are always going to be some things that will come back, and you got to like bring awareness to and work on. But I think this is going to be a huge burst of that. It's so funny. I keep getting the word silence. So I don't know what that means. It could just be that maybe you don't like sitting in silence for a long period of time by yourself. And maybe you'll find power in that, in this sort of retreat or this space where they're going to hold this healing energy for you. I'm not totally sure. You'll have to meditate on that, or think about that, about how that applies to you. Or maybe you've been desperately wanting silence, but you've been too busy. Maybe you have kids, maybe you're busy with work. I don't know. Just, they keep saying silence. You can also hear your guides clearer and your intuition clearer when you're not thinking of all the possibilities of what if. You just go, all right, I'm just going to intuitively check in and ask and wait for an answer. So let's get over here. So this intuition, summer, vision, illuminating the truth. It's so funny. When I see illuminating the truth, I just see this as a sight card as well. So I'm not so sure what's going on. And this does seem to happen before you get into this feeling like you should go to retreat and work on something. So if you are watching this as this comes out, and you literally were in the summertime where there is like so much happening, you were observing so much, you were literally seeing so much. So psychically, clairvoyantly, you might have been channeling things, you might have been getting a lot of signs and symbols from the universe, from angelics, from animals. I'm trying to feel the vibe here. You guys might really be into astrology or something like that. What is that? This does feel so Egyptian. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think what kind of thing has anything to do with Egypt. Okay, and now they're also showing me like, what is that? Religion, or not religion. I don't think it's religion. It's like, they show me like Hercules and Pegasus. They show me Pegasus, like that horse in the star constellation. I don't know. Maybe that means something to you all, but whatever that is, maybe you've been more drawn. Maybe that's Greek mythology? I don't totally know. Or is that Roman? I don't know. My history is so bad. I think it's Greek. But anyways, I don't know. Maybe you were traveling. You might have actually traveled to Egypt, been woken up, and then now you're like on this crazy journey. You can't like, I don't know. They keep saying like, I think there was like a thing that happened and it like jostled you awake, and it jostled like your third eye really, really open. And now you can't not see things. But that also being said, there's also like this portal energy. Lionsgate? Maybe it was Lionsgate portal. Oh, this is where it's hard. There's general card reading. There's too many different like situations and scenarios coming up, and I'm like, it just makes you feel crazy. You're like, oh no, it's this. Oh no, it's this. Oh no, it's that. I mean, something woke this group up. Some were saying it literally was like a portal energy. So some might relate this to COVID and seeing things differently during COVID. I mean, COVID woke up a lot of people, so that makes sense. The lotus flower is back. It's in the gut here. So I think it was almost saying like you started trusting your gut and intuition, and then you started to see a lot and trusting that it was real. And you just can't unsee things. You can't go back to like not knowing and just feeling, and what's that like word? It's like sometimes you just can feel it in your gut that there's something off or something not quite all being said, and I feel like you just can't go back from that. And there's like something here that happened for you for this file, and I think you've been trying to develop your senses, develop more knowledge, grow more. There's so much about Ra, the Greek mythology, stars, constellations, Egyptian times. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe those are literally just all the things that you're into. It's like I can't figure it out, so I keep saying it because sometimes if I talk, they'll give me more information, but I just keep saying it and they just blank there. So yeah, even for it's not as strong, but there's even someone who's a little bit into the Mayan calendar specifically. I think that's a specific person though. Yeah, it's so interesting. Oh, you guys are just, you feel like you just, they're showing me like someone who like kind of had an inkling about this stuff, but didn't go too weird, didn't want to like weird people out too much. And then like, I don't know, something happened to you. And then you're like, you went full blown, you'd say conspiracy theorist or digging into and like old civilizations, knowledge. Maybe you guys are watching like a lot of spirit science, like that channel, or maybe you're listening to a lot of, I don't know, a lot of people who talk about Egypt, to be honest. I find it very fascinating, but yeah, I don't actually listen to a lot of other people talk about it, but I think I like to be more unbiased so that if I do any like past life work for myself or other people, then I am not like taking my bias from other people. I'm just like, oh shoot, this is what I saw in that past life. So then I like feel like I understand it deeper and I don't have like that bias going into it. So I like that, but I still find Egypt so fascinating and all that stuff, but I just haven't felt called to look into it through other people's experiences yet. But I don't know, maybe you're even remembering past lives or something. Man, I just can't stop looking at this card either. It feels so powerful, and I just can't stop seeing like the circle behind this woman in vision. Oh, I don't even know. I even wonder if like looking at the symbol literally does something energetically. Like I wonder if this actually almost in some ways is an activation. And I don't know if this author of the card deck intended that, but as soon as I look at this, I'm like, this is so powerful. I don't know if you can see, like there's a bunch of little like braille looking dots. I don't know, I almost feel like when you look at it, you can like see something coming out of the energy ball center. I don't know, something really cool about this card. Very well designed. Yeah, super cool. So I feel like you guys are just on this crazy, I would almost say like a fast track growth of like spiritual gifts, psychic development, clairvoyance, intuitive knowings. And I think you are just going to stay on a fast track, but the advice for you to go even faster, develop these even faster, because I feel like this pile is like ready for it, would be, yeah, this retreat information or advice. I think you probably would have one in mind, or one will pop up and you'll be like called to it. And maybe the lotus symbol is so important because maybe that will be a symbol that they have on them or near them or something like that. Like maybe on this site, like you'll just scroll through a picture and the first thing you'll see is like a white lotus or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, it seems like there's some deep symbols here. And it's so interesting because it almost says you come out of this like being able to see the shadow and see it clear. So if you've been intrigued by shamanic work, I think you're gonna, just by going in and being able to do your own shadow work, be able to see that and help other people through it. That seems pretty cool. But overall, I just get pretty light vibes here. So I don't think your work is only shamanic. Definitely not. It's just a piece of it. And also I'm just realizing there's like a little half moon above this person's head on this card. There's also another eye up there. Yeah, there's a lot going on in these cards. I also just keep thinking about like energy, like actual like being able to control energy, where I've heard like energy circulates your body in one direction on one side and like circulates the other direction on the other. I don't know why I keep thinking about that in this image. I can just see this person consciously moving their energy, manipulating it. I don't know, whatever you do, if you do go to this retreat, I think it's literally going to change you in the best of ways. You're just going to almost like remember who you are, what you're capable of, the limitlessness of you. Yeah, so I'm sorry that this had nothing to do with a family reading. But hopefully that just brought you here and you found it for some reason. And yeah, this is actually all I have to say to you guys. So I just hope you have a wonderful day. There is a sound healing / Reiki session at the end of this card reading if you'd like to receive it. And yeah, maybe I'll catch you around. Hello, pile 3. All right, so let's see what you got. We have Eagle Totem, Rise Above to Widen Your Vision, Spirit of Fire, Spirit of Water. Oh, that's cool. You got some opposites going on. The Path of Beauty, Winter, A Time for Turning Inwards, Rest in Silence. And can you still see all those? I might just zoom in a little closer here. Okay, and then we have these 2 cards here. It says, my shadows show me where my love needs to be sent, and I am my most powerful when my creativity is given a voice. And expanding inner power and demystifying the darkness. Ooh, that's cool. I actually want to leave them face up this way. Okay. I also like the coloring here. The yellow and the crown energy. Okay, so let's see. So I was explaining to pile 2, I actually ended up stopping, and then I was intending to get back to this pick a card reading the same day, but then I just got busy, then I went to a wedding, and then I had clients, and now I am here, and I don't even know how many days it's been since, so yeah, but some of the readings have taken a little bit of a turn. The first pile was definitely around family. The second pile was not. This pile, I'm just gonna try and see the family vibe is here or not. It's interesting. I do think you have a little bit of the same message as pile 2, where you might have been feeling called to inquire about your family, but then your guides have like come here and been like, it's actually important that you focus on yourself and what you need, and your rest and your restoration and your growth. I almost feel like they did that for pile 2 and pile 3 here to get you to hear reading about yourself and about like focusing on yourself and taking time for yourself. And I don't think that you guys just don't ever want to take time for yourselves. I think you're just like if I saw in the last pile, very like light worky vibes. Like you do want to really help other people. You have a lot of compassion for others, and you can just kind of forget to do a lot of focus on yourself and your own inner child work and your own general health maintenance. I do see that you have 11 and 22, so that's actually really neat. Path of Beauty and Winter. And they both kind of refer to the same thing on these cards. So this one is talking about turning inward, rest, and being in silence. And then this 11 card is about walking your path of beauty elevates your feminine soul, which, I mean, when I see the words feminine usually used in a card, I think about taking time to just reflect on yourself, the care you need. I even also just think like working on some shadow work and holding space for it. And when I should say, when I see it in a feminine energy, it's not like being like, all right, I need to do this. I need to like support my inner child. I need to get to the cause of why it's upset. It's more like that nurturing, kind, gentle energy of being like, what do you need right now? Where have you been feeling not heard? How can I support you best? And it's really just like holding space for that side of you that comes up when you're tired, exhausted, or being overworked. And I really do want to get more into like what is going on with the fire and water here. This is so fascinating. I mean, this even, I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, look at this. Like, you kind of have like these two circles, the dark and the light, and then you kind of have fire and water, which are opposites. I'm trying to think. I don't actually know tarot. I mean, I took one hour class on it just to be like, oh, this is so interesting. I understand the gist of it now, but I'm just so much more drawn to the freedom of oracle cards and the no rules and the anything is possible. And I do think tarot has its like cool spots, and obviously it's a traditional thing, so there's a huge benefit to it. But just for me, I'm so much more called to the no rules, the limitlessness. I like that of each card. So I'm trying to think. I think water symbolizes relationships and emotions, which is interesting because I was kind of thinking it does make me think of like the shadow, at least in this context. And then fire, I'm like, shoot, I don't think I remember what fire meant in that very brief card class that I took. Okay, I totally don't remember what fire means in the tarot, but what I do want to just say here is I keep thinking of the phoenix, and the phoenix, what's that called? Like, it comes and it burns away anything that's not serving it. And I think that can even go well with this, like literally fire, like cleansing of yourself and releasing anything that no longer serves you. And I would see this as a reference in your like shadow side, in the side that you're nervous of, the side that you don't love always looking at. And I would say that's a pretty big message, and I don't take it personally. It's funny, I haven't ever gotten a phoenix analogy really in a very, very long time. And I would say like it's come up for two different people, two different clients. I think it was just this week. And it's coming up here. And even with this here, with like the shadow and the light, and like how there's a little light going in between them, like connecting them. So I think this is such a theme for this reading, where it says, my shadow shows me where my love needs to be sent. Oh, this is so appropriate. And then obviously we all know butterflies are all about transforming. So perfect that there be like some red fiery energy in the middle of this. And then underneath, I see this as like DNA codes. I'm not really sure what it's actually supposed to be, but I see like DNA sequences and changing it. And then it's like coming out the other side different. So I don't know. I love this. If I could like really sum up the energy I'm getting from this card, it's like believing that you can control and manipulate your destiny. So I think that's cool. And I'm such a believer in that. I know some people believe that fate exists and, you know, like everything's like pre-written, but I think I've come to realize like that's not true, at least not anymore. And we can all, honestly, if we do enough limiting belief work, we can literally create our reality. But it's all in the limiting belief work. Like that's something I really have to, I don't know if this pile even cares about this, but I'm rambling about it. I don't know if people really realize that the limiting beliefs that are repeated in our subconscious so many times are, until we put focus there, creating our reality, because it's almost like that's like the back coding of our design, right? Like all that like extra codes that are just saying like, okay, this is what we believe, this is what we perceive, and it's just going. And then that's why I love meditation, or doing like that inner child work or limiting belief work, because it's like you get that opportunity to like scratch that coding out and retype it and rewire it and be like, this is actually my truth. This is what I identify as. And some are easier than others. Some we've just actually truly outgrown, but we needed to just change the coding or the programming. And then other ones we're working on. So you might have to go back several times and like retype the code, because it might like error and turn back into the original coding, if that makes sense. And then this even makes sense why the eagle came through. Like, it's really just about seeing things differently, at least in this context. I also like his face in this. He looks so serious. Like, I don't know, like I almost see him like squinting his eyes and focusing on what the root cause really is and what to really be looking at. I don't know, I really like this. Yeah, you guys have been like really ready for some sort of change. And sometimes, at least in this day and age, I find it can usually be like a physical health thing that you're done with and you want to change. And then that will come up, especially in limiting beliefs. I know not everyone, it's in their belief system that you can change that. But for myself personally, I did see myself change physical health based off of going deep enough in the limiting belief programs. But I mean, it wasn't just super obvious. Like, I had to really go in there, and I don't think I could have done it without meditation, without being really honest with myself about limiting beliefs, about the time frame in which that illness or whatever it is that you're dealing with became reactive or popped up. Or I think for a lot of people, it would have been like you had an inkling that something was happening, and then now you know it was the thing you're dealing with. I think I would go back to those moments. What happened within that month or that time period? What limiting beliefs changed? That's what I had to really get into. So, of course, if you don't believe this is going to change it, then it won't, because you create your reality. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs that probably have been cemented in some people, saying like, this can't change, this can't change. This is just how it is. I've lived with this forever. So I'm not here to tell anyone what their reality is or isn't, but I think for this pile, I'm seeing like a lot of deep work, a lot of successful transformation, and then over the winter, or if you're not watching this while it comes out and it's winter time, don't sweat it. It's just so symbolic to me. Winter truly is a time where the energy's like denser, but in a good way, like in more of like the Mother Earth, like kind of comes over and I think like puts us in a blanket here. Like, we're just so nurtured, we're held in a more grounded space to do rest and restorative work. And I really like that. And I like that these two cards have like angel numbers on it. So it just feels so like angelically guided for transformation and healing, resting and rejuvenation. Yeah. It's so interesting. I'm like, I wonder why they covered her mouth in this artwork. I don't know why I'm like weirdly stuck on that. Why did they cover her mouth? What does that mean? Oh, I guess it says rest in silence. So maybe don't worry about having to speak your truth, but just go in and see what your truth is. I don't know. I feel like there's something there, but I'm not quite wording it right. I almost think more like, I think this came up in the other pile, where it's like sometimes in a meditative state, we can just get really thinky in our head and be like, why is this happening? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And there's a lot of maybes, instead of just relaxing, breathing, focusing your energy going into your heart, so that you're coming from a heart-centered energy when you're thinking about things, and then just seeing what your body wants you to know from there. If that's too hard, honestly, guided meditations are like a really nice way in, because it like teaches your ego that it doesn't need to always be asking why is this happening? Why right now? And like almost freaking out, and then it will start answering itself. That's the problem. It will try to like chatter out the intuition and answer it instead of the intuition answering it. And you'll kind of know, because you're usually stressed and feeling like frustrated and stuff. And if it's coming intuitively, it doesn't feel like that. It feels calm, peaceful, and it just feels right. And let's talk about this card. Deep listening. I guess that's just talking about what I was just talking about. I invite you to inner silence where the world resounds. So this is really neat. You definitely have a huge call to, I would hate to say it if you don't like it, but some form of meditational practice. Just starting small, like I said, guided meditations even work. Sorry. Okay, sorry, my battery started dying, but it's kind of perfect because I already have to get going. So yeah, I'm getting very busy these days, which is good, but maybe not great for the YouTube pick a card, but other paying clients, unfortunately, do just get priority. Okay, so deep listening. Yes, so I was just saying how I don't want to make you feel overwhelmed if you really hate the idea of meditation. Start with guided meditations. I would actually start with just a nice chakra clearing guided meditation if you don't like that. I'm trying to think of one that I used to do when I first started. And it was very simple, it was very peaceful, it had good music, and it was only 10 or 15 minutes long, but it felt so much longer, and I was like, wow, meditation's fun. And it was just started with connecting into Mother Earth, clearing out each chakra, releasing any energies that didn't serve you, and then I think some of them even took you on a mini 2-minute little adventure in that etherical world, which was fun. But anyways, if you do a meditation practice, this is just a reminder to create time and space again for it, or prioritize it more, because I think you're wanting this. I mean, you wouldn't have found a card reading like this if on some level you didn't want this clarity, this change, this new focus. It is saying so much, you're ready to release and see things differently. So this is going to be a very powerful winter, whether it's literally a winter season for you, or it's just a time in your life where you're going to rest more and have a healing space. But so much clarity comes from that. Yeah. I feel so many people are upgrading right now. It's so awesome to see. I feel for me, it really is winter, and I feel next spring there's going to be so many people who have leveled up so much they'll be unrecognizable. So even it empowers me to make sure I'm staying on top of my own work, because I gotta keep up. I gotta keep up, or I won't be able to be of service to people as much as I would like to be. So yeah, I think it's so interesting to see so many people doing the work now, and going deep and expanding their inner power. It's super cool, transforming things, and you're definitely gonna be one of them. I even saw some light language around some of this, so that's really cool. It's really powerful healing. And reconnecting with your soul essence. So I love that. I love it so much. Okay, so unfortunately I do need to get going, but I think I have done this card reading. Kind of good timing. Okay, so you all have a wonderful day. I'm sorry this wasn't more centered around family, but I just trust that whatever comes up is what everyone needs at this time. So I don't know why I want to say have a blessed day. It's not usually my lingo, but have a wonderful day, and I'll see you around. Hello everyone. Welcome to the sound healing and Reiki session portion of this pick a card. So if you saw last week's video, it was very similar setup to this. I actually was just feeling on such a good vibe. I figured I'll do a couple of sound healings and Reiki sessions in one go, because I was just, if you feel the good energy to do it, then you kind of just do it then. It's way more powerful. So I'm just going to do a sound healing or chakra rebalancing. I think my focus is on bringing more joy back in, more happiness into life. And I wonder why sometimes we don't put more importance on that, because life is only hard because we're not finding the joy, really. If we're in a joy state, whether we're in financial hardship, in sort of chaotic times, we wouldn't feel so gross if we just had more joy. So that's my intention for this session. You can't see it because I couldn't quite fit it in the frame, but I do have all 7 chakra balls. and I will be playing all of them. So if you are interested in this, I mean, I guess just stay tuned, stay tuned and say yes if you want to receive the Reiki energy on top of that. And I usually call in the angelic realm or some ascended masters to help this healing find you in the best way. So my intention is always that this finds you when you are ready for it, in a way that is in your highest good and love and light for all involved. And I hope you enjoy. So I'm just going to ground myself, call in the angelics and the ascended masters that want to work with us today, and I'm going to activate the Reiki energy and sort of activate the distance Reiki so that it can find you in your home, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. Okay, so just give me a few minutes here. You can lie down. It's usually better if you do, just so that you're stable, you don't fall over in your chair or anything. And I find if you close your eyes, you can really receive it deeper. So as always, just do whatever you feel called to do. Yeah, you know what's best for you at the end of the day, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna be a little quiet now because I'm just doing setting up the energy in the sacred space. Okay, everyone. So that is the end of the session. It's funny, I feel like I could just keep playing the heart chakra bowl and the root bowl together. They're just such a beautiful sound, and I just love this, like the symbolicness behind that of like your heart kind of inspiring what you do in the world, and just like going into those like foundations and support systems and having more love there and feeling more loved. I like that a lot. And I feel like the bowls were like, we could just keep doing this all day, but eventually I thought, a lot of you probably have other things to be doing right now. So if you want to re-listen, you always can. You can always re-listen to any healing video as much as you like or desire or feel called to. So I just want to remind you all to just take a few minutes to come back to this reality, come back to the physical present, and really feel yourself settle back into your bodies. Sometimes people tend to astral travel while listening to singing bowls, so you just really want to make sure you come back. Drinking water helps ground you, helps clear energies that no longer serve you and get them out of your body as fast as possible. So we always recommend to drink water. Otherwise, just take it easy. I hope this helped you and allowed you to feel lighter and maybe even a little more joy in your life. So just wishing you all the best, and maybe I'll catch you around sometime.